Welcome to the ISE Content Studio here at ISE 23 in Barcelona. Our topic today is a very special topic. Many of you probably have been to Expo 2020 in Dubai, and the most fascinating, basically, really the iconic thing is the Wasl Dome. And we have here David Bajt, co-founder of Build Studios. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
David, you presented a few slides this morning and fantastic insights about this project. So could you just tell us a little bit what the Al Wasl project was all about?
Yeah, sure. Well, essentially, our Wasl Dome is the centerpiece venue of the whole Expo Dubai 2020. So it's a 130 by 130 meter by 70 meter tall structure, enormous structure. And it's essentially not just a beautiful piece of architecture, it also happens to be the world's largest projection canvas. And this is where we come in. Essentially. And yeah, by nighttime, it turns into life. It comes to life. Daytime is sort of a translucent, transparent type, beautiful sculpture, if you like. Nighttime, it becomes a venue of pretty grand scale. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we went there, it's such an impressive place, and it's so huge. You feel really tiny when you're standing there. But it's not only fascinating when you see the daytime projections or beginning of the evening. You really used it or transformed it into a venue and had events there. So can you tell us a bit more about the challenges that you had there?
Yeah, sure. But first of all, it's a huge amount of projectors here. There's 252 of them, which is a decent amount of projectors. It's not the smallest kind either. It's actually the world's biggest projectors. Obviously, we were working under creative technology, their systems integration department, and they handle a lot of the sort of hardware side of things in terms of installing those projectors and so on. But essentially, it's 252 projectors sitting in these 3.3 meter tall pods, right? And they're bigger than a jumbo jet 747 engine. 6 of these projector units in each pod. And all in all, this is forming a 27,000 pixel by 6,000 pixel canvas. So the question is, how do you create content for that kind of dome-shaped structure? But not only the dome shape is a challenge, but also the resolution itself. Because with that type of resolution, you need so many media servers. 16 disguise GX2 servers were deployed for this installation. This is kind of where we come in, because as a company, we are in a way specializing in the world between hardcore technical, hardware essentially, and IT and fiber and these sort of things, with creative, with content creation, with the soft skills, if you like. And our job was really to make sure that the content creators had an easy job of creating content for this structure, but at the same time, it allowed the technical people and the media servers to basically receive this form of content and essentially effectivize, is that the name, the whole procedure. But the challenge is essentially huge resolution for this dome. Sure.
But talking about the resolution, are we also talking about huge data? Whenever you hear this resolution, it's like, oh my God, how do you manage the data?
Absolutely. There's two ways of this. There's two ways to run this dome, right? The first of all, you have pre-rendered video content. So you can imagine 27,000 by 6,000 pixel content in terms of, 20 minutes of show. Nice and slow. Even though the hard drives are upgraded and they're huge, there's 173 shows happening during 6 months of Expo. So it had to be a big part of this work was actually to manage hard drive space and clear space and then re-ingest content and really be very careful with naming convention and these kind of things, which perhaps no one really thinks about. But yeah, and the second way of running content, which is what we partly worked on as well, is to turn this into real-time based canvas, which is a whole different set of challenges. Obviously, how do you run, 27,000 pixels by 6,000 as a pre-rendered canvas? Okay, fine, that's difficult, but then turn it into an interactive real-time canvas is even a bigger challenge. And that's what we kind of enjoy doing. So the nice thing with real-time is that it doesn't take up any hard drive space. It's all generative, right? Yeah. It's megabytes. We're talking potentially gigabytes instead of terabytes. Not even gigabytes, I would say, versus pre-rendered content. One show may take up 250, 300 gigabyte, right? And then you do a couple of those shows and you have your hard drives full. So it was definitely advantages running turning this into a real-time canvas instead. So for example, every night there is a flag moment.
Yeah.
You know, there's an American flag or any flag.
Every day, different country, right?
Different country. And probably most people thought that, okay, that is video content running there. But it wasn't. It's real-time content. Or we built a system which allowed to change a texture, quite low resolution texture actually. And our system then upscaled it beautifully and turned it into high resolution 27K cameras. No hard drive space was utilized at all. And all that had to happen was the operator to change a texture input. It's an extremely cost-effective way as well to create content. And this is another part of real-time content. It's cost-effective. It's easy. It's quick. You can create variations of the same content very easily. But if you're dealing with a 27K by 6K pre-rendered cameras, it's not that quick to change content, to update content, to make variations of content.
So next time anybody tells me about they have content challenges, I'll refer them to you.
Yeah, it's every job has its challenges, right? And this particular one has resolution is definitely one of them for this one.
You realized this project now a couple of years ago. If you would do it today, how do you see technology evolving? Would it be easier with today's technology than it was 2, 3, 4 years ago?
Obviously, it's interesting because one of these structures are not being they're planned and designed actually quite a long time ago. You know, the Expo Open was supposed to open 2020.
Exactly, yeah.
It was then, okay, it was delayed because of COVID, but in terms of specification of hardware and so on, everything was more or less specified back in 2016, 2017, right? Since then, the world has moved on, for sure. There's better GPUs, there's better CPUs, there's more processing power, there's better software, for sure. So absolutely, I think it would have probably been with the same manufacturers and same pieces of software, but probably different models. You know, for example, back in 2020, Unreal Engine was something which wasn't as utilized in the world of live events or sort of installation. It was very much about a video game-based type of tool. Since the pandemic, Unreal Engine has absolutely exploded and has really gone into the world of, you know, TV studios.
This is unreal.
There you go. TV studios, live events. It's now integrating really well with, you know, established media servers. What we did with our solution was running Notch as a render engine because it's a long tradition. Nothing is long in this world.
Yeah.
It's a relatively long tradition of integration between Disguise and Notch. That was a very tight handshake, which is why we chose that solution. There's actually, I didn't mention this in this presentation earlier today, but we also helped some other people with their another interactive installation, which bases like you enter a kiosk, you take your picture, and you turn into an astronaut.
Yeah.
That is all running Unreal Engine actually. So it wasn't necessarily only Notch running the everything real time here. So it's really changing every quarter, really, I would say. And there's new updates, new software. Everyone here today, I've seen some very, very interesting things, which I can't wait to get my hands on, really. So yes, next time perhaps it would be a slightly different specification for sure, yeah.
So could you already tell us what you're currently working on? I mean, without naming a customer maybe, but which direction it's going, or?
Well, I think for us as a company, we started off very technical, very sort of, our work was media server solutions, infrastructure, facilitating for creatives. So also a lot of 3D modeling and essentially almost like we're the frame makers. Here's a frame, you can now go and paint it. Nowadays, as a company, we're much actually also being the artists. We're taking on a lot more content creation because in the world of real-time content, such as the Wasl Dome, the interactive part, you cannot just be an artist. You have to be a technical artist. Whereas as a technical person, you need to be very creative. So this is where it's heading for us as a company, as we're very much moving towards this kind of turnkey solution of providing technical and the creative.
David, looking forward to seeing more of your work, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.